412, Pastor Ryan here, getting ready to start a new series, and this will take us through the whole summer, and you'll be able to check this out anytime here on YouTube. Make sure you go ahead and like, share, subscribe any of these videos. Maybe it will help somebody in their journey to know Christ a little more in their relationship with God. But we're starting a series today called Big Picture. Now, you've probably heard that phrase in terms of someone may say, you need to think about the big picture here. And really when they say that, when somebody says something like that, they're talking about there's more to the story than maybe what you're thinking about in that moment. And I know from experience that sometimes it's hard to see the big picture of our life. In our lives, in the day-to-day, it's hard to look beyond what's going on right now and see really the big picture. It can be easy to take a particular situation or circumstance and that's all we see, and we don't look beyond that or even think beyond that. And so today, as we kind of talk about this in the next few weeks, as we talk through this series called Big Picture, we're going to stop just focusing in on one event, and we're going to try and see how maybe that one event fits in the big picture. Because I believe that God has a plan for all of us. And that if we can start to think about, if you can start to think about, even as a teenager, what's going on in the future, how your decisions today or how your relationships today will impact your future, I think it can have a huge impact on your life. And it can help you make some different and maybe even better or wiser decisions or choices. And one of the areas that we probably struggle to see the big picture, or maybe even how we fit in the big picture, is in our families. We tend to think that the world should revolve around us. Now, some of you I know have other siblings. Some of you are only children. And I still think that this may apply to all of those situations. I know for me, I was the baby of the family, and there were times where I felt like they liked my sister more. She got better treatment than I did. And it was hard for me to deal with that because I wanted everything to be about me. And there are times where all of us, no matter where we find ourselves, we want to be the center of attention. We want people to focus in on us. And our actions and the things that we do, no matter where we are, they impact our family. They impact the dynamic in our family. And as you become a teenager, maybe you're the oldest or the youngest or you're the middle, you see sometimes the impact that your decisions are having on your family unit as a whole. And we can get frustrated and upset when our baby brother or baby sisters get more attention, or the older sibling. But at the crux of it, I would imagine that most of our families, it's a balance that we have to try and find from when we're getting attention to other people. You all know I have little kids right now. I have a 5 and a 3-year-old, and for them it's hard because they all want attention all the time. They're not used, especially Maddox, when Henley came around, wasn't used to having to share mom and dad, and now she's still having to deal with having to share time and having to share things with her sister. And we all want to be the center of attention. I want to say, I bet there are times even where your parents want everyone in the family to actually pay attention to them or even care about them. I think that there's times where we all just need someone to recognize us and notice us and to see who we are. But as we talk about family in relation to the big picture, I think there's a really good story. It's one of my favorite stories in the whole Bible that we're going to kind of use as we go through this entire series. And it's about a man named Joseph. Now, Joseph was the youngest son. He was the baby of the family. And he was his dad's favorite. And there's a way that we know this because the Bible actually tells us. Listen to what it says in Genesis chapter 37, verses 3 and 4. It says, Jacob loved Joseph more than any of his other children because Joseph had been born to him in his old age. So there's a reason. He was born to Jacob when he was old, and so he was there was something different or special to him about Joseph being born to him at that point. So one day Jacob had a special gift made for Joseph, a beautiful robe. But his brothers hated Joseph because their father loved him more than the rest of them. They couldn't say a kind word to him. Now that's a tough dynamic. He has all of these other brothers, and all of a sudden it is very clear and it is very obvious that Joseph is their dad's favorite. You can imagine how that impacts the family dynamic. He is getting all of the attention. He gets a robe, he gets a special gift, and these other brothers feel left out. But listen, he kind of doesn't help the situation in what happens throughout this story. I'm going to read verses 5 through 7 now, okay? It says, one night Joseph had a dream, and when he told his brothers about it, they hated him more than ever. Listen to this dream, he said. We were out in the field tying up bundles of grain. Suddenly, my bundle stood up, and your bundles all gathered around and bowed low before mine. Now, if I had to guess, Joseph had to be really young. Because if you already know that your older brothers don't like you or they're upset with you, and then you tell them, hey, one day you're going to have to listen to me, you're going to bow down to me, that's not going to help the situation. That is not going to end well for you. And I don't think that as a whole, the family unit realized what their actions were doing that could negatively impact the other people around them. I'm sure that Joseph's dad, Jacob, had no ill intention or didn't want to hurt the other brothers. He just wanted to give his youngest son a special gift, and that hurt the rest of his kids. And I am sure that Joseph, when he shared this dream, wasn't thinking, hey, this is really going to tick them off. That sounds like a fun thing to do. He just was excited to be able to share with them this dream that he had had. And I'm sure that the brothers in the moment didn't think through how they were acting towards Joseph, how it would hurt or affect him. See, our actions, our words impact the people around us. And many times the people closest to us are our family. And little decisions that we don't think about can have a big impact on them. And I think it's important for us, as we see this story, we compare this story to where we are, where we find ourselves in our lives today, is we really need to be aware and think about it. Now, you don't need to walk around paranoid and worry that everything you do is going to ruin your sibling's life or your parent's life. But maybe think through a different lens. Maybe think through a different perspective. And the things that you do, maybe you get in an argument with your parents. I know your initial reaction is probably just to be angry and to run off and just to think only of the way you think about it. But maybe after a few minutes, sit back and say, okay, where can I find the truth in what they said? That's one of the things that I try to do whenever I get in a disagreement or I hear something from someone is I try to sit back and I try to say, okay, maybe everything they said wasn't true or I can't change, but there has to be something that is true and something that I can change to help this situation. And I would venture to say that if this situation, if Jacob had realized, hey, I need to do something for my other sons so they know that I love them too, that may have helped the situation. If Joseph had said something even differently about the dream or not told them about the dream at that point, it would have probably helped out. And his brothers, if they would have thought through their lens that really this wasn't even Joseph's fault. He couldn't help that he was born or when he was born. He was just there. He was just benefiting from a situation that he had no control over whatsoever. And so I just want to encourage you in your families, let's just focus in on our families, to stop and try and figure out how you can see the big picture in your family. Because your mom and dad are going to be your mom and dad. Your siblings are going to be your siblings throughout your whole life. You want them. You need them to be a part of your life, okay? I'm telling you that. And you may not like them right now, and you may have your issues with them right now, but there will come a day where you will understand and appreciate them in a very special and unique way. So there are two things that I think can help us with this. First, be aware of how your actions are impacting others. And with that means that we start to see ourselves in an accurate way. I'm probably one of the people that could say this and it be the truest about me. There are times where I don't see myself in the most accurate picture. I probably see myself in a better light than some other people do. And I have to work on realizing what I think is true between what is actually true about me. What I want to be true about me isn't always true what is actually true about me. And I have to work to try and make those two line up and to become true. And you can ask somebody to maybe speak honestly into you, and do it in a time where you are open to it, where you can hear them. And in that situation, I would just urge you to listen more than you speak. Find out the things that maybe they think you could improve on and actually do it. Second thing is to actually go and do that, and in the moments try to choose a different response, to think and to appreciate where someone else may be coming through. See, you have an important role in your family. You are a vital part of your family. And I don't want you to miss out on the big picture, because there will be things that you will endure that your family will be there with you through thick and thin. And you want to make sure that you are seeing more than just what's going on right now. It's easy. It is so easy to get trapped and consumed with all that is happening in your life currently, and not to think, hey, 5-10 years down the road, how is this going to impact this relationship in this situation? But I want to encourage you to see the big picture, to think about the big picture in most of the situations that you face. And God will be there with you. God has a plan for you, and He has a specific role for you in the family that you're in. You have an impact on your family. God put you in that family for a reason. And I want to encourage you to be the best part of your family that you can be. See the big picture. Have a great week. I'll see you again soon.